Morning, children. All the centers. Monday morning, good morning. How are you? Yes, everybody. I can see Shillong. How are you, children? Okay. Yes. How is your puja, Durga Puja going on? Nice? Excuse me. Yes, children. Yes, Senapati, Itanagar, Churachandpur, Tamilnong. Yes, children. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Okay. Yes. So we completed in the last class biomolecules, isn't it? We did that chapter completely. So do we have any doubts from that chapter? Please let me know. If we have some doubts, we can cover it up quickly. Otherwise, if you are ready for the next chapter, it's fine. It's good. Yes, Shillong. Okay. So many, I can see very few people at Shillong. Yes, Itanagar, good morning. So how is attendance at Shillong? I guess it is very scarce. Is it? Okay. So there are two sections today also, or everybody is sitting in the same section? Shillong? Is everybody in the same section, or there are two sections today also? Because I can see very poor strength in one of the sections. Okay. Okay, fine. No issue. So, do we have any doubts, Itanagar and Shillong, since you are only logged in now? So, do we have any doubts from biomolecules part, chapter? Let me know, or otherwise I will start with your 12th syllabus, as we discussed in the last class. No confusion? Is it like no study, no confusion? Our teacher used to tell us, one of our teachers, she used to tell us, more study, more confusion, no study, no confusion. Is it? I hope so. It is not the same case. Okay, it's nice though you don't have any doubts. But yes, if you start solving questions, I'm sure you will be having many doubts. So please refer to your books, whatever books, MCQ books you are having, and start solving questions today itself. Okay? Because you know the same thing. Now NEET and AIMS and ZIPMER all will be conducted in the same flow. So all the seats, you don't have any second chance. You don't have any second chance that if you don't perform good in NEET, you can perform better in AIMS and ZIPMER. So the scenario is totally different now. So national exam is only conducted by one of the conducting committee, that is NTA, and NTA will be conducting it for everybody. That is what is the latest notification up till date certifies. Let's see what new turn-ups come out. But yes, you don't have any second chance. That is what I mean to say. So let us start quickly with the reproduction in organism. That is the first chapter of your class 12th. So I guess we do all have NCERT books. Do we? Yes, Itanagar, Shillong. All of us have NCERT books, is it? Or till now we have some of the, we are waiting for some good moment and then we will be getting them. Please, look at your NCERT books. Repeatedly I am telling this thing that 80%, more than 80% of the questions from bio is based on NCERT, simple. So that can also exceed this year since AIMS is merging. So the pattern, let's see what the pattern is somewhat. We also don't have any idea. But yes, as per till now, since 2014, as the NEET syllabus is proceeding, we have seen that 80% of the questions, more than 80% in fact, are coming from NCERT, and that is way, like, too much marks, yes, to get selected into top colleges, top government colleges. So let us continue with the first chapter of the reproduction NCERT. That is the first unit of class 12th. I'm so happy to start class 12 syllabus. That is reproduction in organisms. That is your first chapter. Yes. So what is reproduction? Yes. The first and foremost question that comes in our mind, what is reproduction? Yes. Easy enough. Since class 6th, 5th, we are having this definition, we are studying this thing. Yes. What is reproduction? Anybody? NEET-Nagar, Shillong. What is? What is reproduction? Yes, children. I am sure you know, but let's write it. To reproduce of its own kind, isn't it? So this is what is the, if you talk about any subject, every subject has a sole motto. This is the sole motto of biology. What is the sole motto of an organism on the earth is to reproduce. That is the sole motto of what we talk about in terms of bio. This is the sole motto of an organism on the earth, to reproduce of its own kind, so that the continuation of the species is always there. See, if this process is not taking place, obviously the species will get extinct, and if it is extinct, obviously we will not have that particular biodiversity. So in terms of biology, reproduction is a very, very important phenomenon, that is to reproduce of its own kind. And what does it helps in? It helps in continuation of its species. Is my writing legible? Everybody? Can you read it nicely? Yes. To continuation of the species is basically what we call is to be the typical phenomenon of reproduction. Okay. Writing is legible? No issues with the writing? Okay. So the next thing, what is lifespan? What do you understand by the term lifespan? Yes, anybody? What is lifespan? Period from birth to natural death. So the death is natural. It should not be accidental. It should not be happening. Okay, Itanagar, good morning. It should not be happening by any kind of accident, by chance or anything, but it should be what? It should be natural. So the whole time period between the birth and natural death is termed as what? It's termed as lifespan. Okay, so this is what is called as lifespan. So every organism has a different lifespan, isn't it? We know this fact. Organisms have different periods of lifespan. Obviously, if you go through your NCERT book, you would be seeing many diagrams, many organisms. Like elephant, they have a lifespan of 65 to 90 years. A rose plant has a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. Dog, 20 to 30 years. Butterfly, 1 to 2 weeks. Crow, 15 years. Banana tree, 20 to 25 years. Cow, 15 to 25 years. Parrot, obviously, we don't know, we will be surprised. That is 140 years, 140 years. Crocodile up to 60 years. Horse, 62 years. Fruit fly, only 20 to 30 days. And rice plant, obviously we know we have many seasons for rice plantations, so they exist for 3 to 4 months. And tortoise, we all know that is the animal which is supposedly living the longest. It is somewhat 100 to 150 years. Okay, parrot was a surprise. It was only 140 years. And banyan tree, we all know. The banyan tree, they have a lifespan of some 200 to 300 years, although some of them they might exceed that time limit also. So, this is very much sure about this all things that yes, all organisms, they have a different span from their birth to natural death. That is what is called as lifespan. And it varies from organism to organism. Isn't it? So now if we divide this lifespan into different criteria, different stages, what we are going to get is this lifespan is obviously divisible into 3 different stages. One, which is obviously the stage which is very, very young, isn't it? We talk about this stage which is juvenile, or in which the organism is young enough to reproduce. Then we have a stage called as reproductive, and once the reproductive age group is exceeded, we have a post-reproductive age group or post-reproductive lifespan, where the organism shows 2 things. The first is senescence and aging. And finally, after all these things, what happens is there is a phenomenon called as death, where the particular organism is having its natural death. Isn't it? So we have these particular divisions of the life stages in an organism, that is juvenile or young, where the organism is just growing, then it starts to reproduce. Now it cannot reproduce because why? Because yes, they have undergone senescence. Senescence means the body parts, they start to degrade gradually. And then we have is aging. It is aging. Okay, so aging is a phenomenon where they are actually, some of the organs, they start to show somewhat deprived working, and finally it is death which causes the closure of the lifespan. So this is what is the lifespan divided into different parts. When you talk about the types of reproduction, what are the types of reproduction you have? Yes, tell me. You are going to tell me this thing. If you try to talk about types of reproduction, quickly give me the divisions, the differences between the asexual and sexual reproduction. Yes, we know there are 2 types of reproduction, asexual and sexual. Quickly give me the differences between these 2. Quick. Everybody. Itanagar, Shillong. Yes, we have one more center logged in. Yes, Senapati, good morning. How are you? Quickly give me the differences between these 2. It's very, very easy. Yes. Itanagar, start typing. Differences between, don't be lazy. It's morning. A very long day yet to happen. Yes, quickly. I'm waiting. Yes, good, Itanagar. Yes, Shillong. What is making you so lazy, children, today? Yes. Very good. Senapati, children, are we connected? I guess we are. Please type in your answer. What is the difference between asexual and sexual? Yes. Yes, Senapati, good morning. Yes, Shillong. The boy on the right side, no, my left, in the white t-shirt. Please get up and type some of the differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay, somebody is typing. Okay, keep on typing. No issues. Whosoever is typing, please type. Yes, very good. Yes, Shilong, you can continue typing. Okay, very good. Nice. Itanagar, good going. I want more differences. Yes, I want more. You all have passed your class 12th. Yes, Senapati, come on. Quickly give me differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. Yes. I guess there's some problem in connection with Shillong Center. The kid is sitting since long, but I don't have any response from that side. Yes, children, you can just like if you are not having an issue on the internet, you can just WhatsApp your answers as well. If you have any problem, you can WhatsApp your answer as well. Yes, I got an answer from Shillong. Yes, Shillong, there is no issues. The internet is working fine. That's all. Asexual is uniparental and sexual is biparental. That's all. No new things. Yes, do we wish to add something new? Come on. Yes, I have one more. Asexual means produces offsprings from genetically. Okay. Nice, good try. So let's quickly see some of the differences. So obviously, as we have seen, we will be incorporating all of your inputs and mine also. So this is what is uniparental. Okay, just one parent is involved. And this is what is biparental. That is, two parents are involved. Okay, this was from Shillong. I got this answer. Then we have one more thing, that is uniparental, but there are no gonads. The gonads are not present. Since they are not present, so they don't participate in the further processes. No gonads, and they do have gonads present. Okay, further, moving ahead, gametes not formed. Since there are no gonads, so gamete formation is also not happening. And this is what is gametes are, yes, formed. Very good. Okay, nice. Very good, Itanagar. Yes, this was a point from Itanagar. Very good. So gametes are not formed. So the offsprings or the next generation would be identical to the parent. This is what Shillong is telling. Next generation identical to parent. So if we talk about the variations, that is, they don't show variations. Okay, do not have any variation. And this is what is next generation is. Different, yes. This was a point from Itanagar. Genetically different, they have used this term. So yes, we will talk about variations. So what is the thing? The variations are present. They do have variations. Okay. Next thing, if it is identical, so we would be calling them what? We will be calling them clones or ramete. So the particular offspring or the next generation is given not a term of offspring exactly, but they are called as clones or ramete, and they are called as offsprings. Okay, so If there is variation, there is evolution. So in case of asexually reproducing organisms, they don't show much of evolution. But yes, evolution in them is a prominent feature. Okay. So they do show evolution by different mechanisms, and one of the mechanism is what? That is genetic recombination. We will talk about these things in genetics as well. Sir will be teaching you all these things. Yes, evolution will be taken by me. But yes, then genetics, crossing over all those things, Vineet sir will be telling you about those things. So clone is what? What is a clone? Yes, what is a clone? A clone is an organism which is genetically and morphologically similar to parent, isn't it? Similar to anybody. So if we have twins, identical twins, yes, you seen identical twins? Many Bollywood movies are also based on identical twins. Isn't it? Have you seen identical twins? They look so similar. So yes, they are also clones. So identical twin is a particular exception that are obviously produced by means of sexual reproduction, but they do show genetically and morphologically similar features. Okay, let's see some examples of asexual reproduction now. Have you copied this slide, everybody? Okay, which Bollywood movies have you seen with identical twins? Which Bollywood movies have you seen? Itanagar, Senapati, Shillong? Yes. Which Bollywood movies have you seen with identical twins? Bollywood. Obviously, because I'm not much into Hollywood, and basically Hollywood people, they have some like good stories. They don't revolve around these kind of pity stories. Yes. None. No identical twin story you have seen. The hero looks similar. Judwa? Okay. So, yes, the hero looks similar, the heroine looks similar. Many times the father and son also look similar. That is like biology at its worst. Sexual reproduction at its worst. Mother and daughter, they look similar. How can they look similar? Isn't it? So father and son, they cannot look similar. Since we are sexually reproducing organisms, they might be identical. They might look somewhat similar in features, but they cannot be exact copies, isn't it? Okay, so somehow they are misleading many a times. We have 1-2 movies where the daughter and the mother, they look identical. So that is what is actually sexual reproduction at its worst. It cannot happen anyhow. Okay, so keep in mind, yes, Dhoom 3. Itanagar is too much into Bollywood movies. I got that point. Okay, nice. So this is basically a particular case where is that exactly a kind of exception is going on, where the sexually reproducing organisms also show formation of clones. They do also have genetically and morphologically identical individual formation. And yes, the process is basically called as twin formation. That is also of 2 kinds. We will talk about this in human reproduction, how different kinds of twins are formed, once I tell you about fertilization and all those events. So now we will continue with the asexual reproduction examples. Okay? Have you copied, everybody? We have copied this slide, isn't it? I'm proceeding. So we have asexual reproduction. Let's quickly note down the examples. So first of all, if we talk about asexual reproduction, what is basically, we will talk about, yes, this is also one of the most important thing I'm missing out. In the differences, we will mention this down, that this is in simple organism. This is basically a process, unisexual is basically in organisms which are unicellular. And yes, they are basically taking place in the multicellular organisms. Okay? And one more thing I missed out. This is fast. This is no doubt a fast process, but this is obviously a slow process. So these 2 differences, you need to note it down. I guess we have. Shillong is busy in chit-chat. Yes, Shillong? So how was your Durga Puja? How is going on your Durga Puja? Nice. How is the Durga Puja going on? Our sexual reproduction, the first and foremost thing, sir has taught you Monera, isn't it? The kingdom Monera, prokaryotes. So what is the basic example, the most important organism? Since your NCERT tells that bacteria are the sole members of kingdom Monera, obviously sir must have taught you some exception. But yes, Monera, the bacteria, they undergo what kind of division? They undergo a division which is obviously asexual and called as binary fission. The same thing undergoes in Protista as well. What is they doing? They are doing binary fission. But yes, then again we have some differences in Protista. If we talk about Protista, we have amoeba, we have paramecium, we have euglena. All of them, they do show binary fission, but of a different kind. What does amoeba shows? Amoeba shows a division which is called as multiple fission. Amoeba and plasmodium. I will add on plasmodium also. The plasmodium is the causative agent of malaria, if you remember. This undergoes a division which is called as multiple fission. So the body of organism divides into multiple parts. They actually divide into many sections. So binary fission is only for two. Bi means two. Multiple fission is many into many sections. Too high in number. What is paramecium doing? Paramecium, what does it do? We know what is paramecium, isn't it? We all know it is a slipper animalcule. So what they do is that they undergo division from the center along the longitude. This is longitudinal. This is transverse binary fission. Transverse binary fission. So they undergo a division from the center. Just show an example. Euglena, what they do is that they undergo longitudinal. Binary fission. How they do look like? Let's see. This is the paramecium. So we all know paramecium has two nuclei. Sir must have told you this thing. They do have two nuclei. One is called as the micronucleus and the other is obviously called as the mega or the macronucleus. So this meganucleus is basically responsible for controlling the basic metabolism of the cell. So whatever the cell is going to do is controlled by meganucleus, the basic metabolism. And the micro one, it is supposedly doing what? It is supposedly doing or controlling the reproductive phenomena. So this is a slipper animalcule with lots of cilia around its body. Okay. So what they do is that they start to divide from the center. In some way that they divide the nucleus also in two parts. So this is what is a particular kind of division going on in paramecium, transverse binary fission. Now if we see this euglena is somewhat this kind of organism. Yes, they do have a flagella for locomotion. So how does the euglena reproduces? The euglena will simply divide itself from the center into two halves. That is what is the longitudinal binary fission. Transverse is along the center in this particular manner. Okay, the cross section. And longitudinal is along the longitude. Continue ahead. Now talk about fungi. Yes, we talked about two things. We talked about Monera, we talked about Protista. I'll continue with third, that is fungi. fungi and algae. Now both of them, what they do is that they have certain asexual reproductive structures. What is that? Yes, everybody. They have asexual reproductive structures, and those structures are called as what? Those structures are called as zoospores. So do remember these things. The zoospores are the asexual reproductive structures found in the members of kingdom fungi and in the class algae, division algae, sorry. Yes. Next. Have you heard about a particular fungi called as penicillium? Where have you heard about? Penicillium? What is penicillium? Have you heard about penicillium, a particular fungus? It's Penicillium notatum. What is it known to reproduce? What is it known to produce? Penicillium? Senapati, Itanagar, Shillong? Tell me, children. Very easy question. It is the only drug which has 2 Nobel Prizes. For which 2 Nobel Prizes were given. Antibiotic, yes. But name of antibiotic. Penicillium is the organism. The antibiotic it produces is what? It is penicillin. The first antibiotic discovered after World War II that exactly reduced the number of the deaths in the World War. So World War I was having too many number of deaths. But after discovery of penicillin, who discovered penicillin? Who discovered penicillin? Important question. You should know this thing. Everybody, in fact. It's not biology, it is general knowledge. Yes. Itanagar, Shillong, Senapati, who discovered penicillin? Quickly. Waiting. So they reproduce by conidia formation. Okay. Then we have is number 5th, we have is Hydra. So we know Hydra undergoes what? Yes, very good. Very good. Alexander Fleming. Very good, Yanagar. Very good, Shillong. Keep it up. So Hydra undergoes budding. So would like to add yeast. What is special about yeast? They also undergo budding. So what is budding basically? Let's see in Hydra. This is a parent Hydra. Starts to form a small bud on its body surface. This thing. This is a small bud. Gradually this bud also grows. And finally what happens is, it segregates to form a new organism. So this is budding. Similar kind of thing happens in yeast. Yeast is the only fungi which is unicellular. Apart from yeast, yes, all the other fungi, they are multicellular. So the kingdom fungi is not based on the cellularity level. Kingdom fungi is basically based on the nutrition and the type of the cell wall they have. That is chitin cell wall. Next we have is they start to form a small bud. Can you see this small bud? This is bud. Gradually this bud starts to grow. Yes, parent has also grown. Gradually this bud starts to grow. And yes, then as it happened in Hydra, it also segregates. It also separates it from the parent body. This is what is budding. All these things will happen when there are favorable conditions. So if the organism is not having proper nutrition, obviously it cannot reproduce. Next thing what we have is sponges. We have done animal kingdom. We know what are sponges. The representatives of phylum Porifera. The sponges, they undergo gemule formation. They reproduce by gemules. So this is what is a gemule kind of structure. So they have many spores inside it. And this obviously happens under unfavorable condition, because for favorable, the porifera, they opt for sexual reproduction. So the gemmules, they have certain spicules inside their body. These spicules we have studied, spongin fibers, and these are the spores, and these are spicules. So this is what is the particular case of reproduction, asexual reproduction. So how many of we have seen that a potato at our home, it starts to form a plant, or an onion similarly kept, they start to form a small green structure on their posterior part. How many of us have observed this thing? A potato has many small structures, small plantlets coming out. Have you seen that thing? Potato, sometimes garlic also. Onion, garlic, potato. Have you seen this thing? Yes? Have you seen? When put in water. No, this is always seen when the season. Potato, they start to form small buds-like structure. See, a potato will form. The potato is like, they have small structures called as eyes. So we all know potato is a stem. It is not a root, isn't it? We know that this is a stem. So this is what is called as the eye of potato. Now these eyes are nothing but they are internodes. You have done with morphology and anatomy. You know what are internodes. Internodes are always present in the, they are the nodes, not internodes. They are the nodes. They are always present in the plants. So we know what are nodes. The nodes are the structures from where the leaves, they come out. So the eye of the potato, at the end of its season, when they have done with the season, they are starting to reproduce. So end of the season means they will reproduce new plantlets. So these eyes, they start to grow into small green structures. This is red. By mistake, I drew red. So this should have been green actually. So let's color this green. Okay, so they start to form small structures and the potato will start to squeeze out. They start to dehydrate gradually, since every nutrient, all the nutrients are passed into this. Now this potato will be cut into multiple pieces so that each of the piece has an eye, has a particular plantlet, and this will be sown in the soil. Okay, you're just going to sow this. This is sown in the soil, and they will give rise to a new potato plant. Exactly. Onion also shows the same thing. If you have an onion, they will start to form a structure like this, green structure at the end of the season, somewhat like this. Excuse me. Okay. So this is the end of the season, they show this structure. So you have to cut into many pieces. Potato is a tuber, onion is a bulb. Okay? So you won't be able to see it now. In fact, there is new potato in the market now at this time. So you will be able to see that when the season of the potato is over. Okay, so this is what is again asexual reproduction. So some of the plants, they have two phenomena to reproduce, that is sexual as well as asexual. This is what is we are talking about vegetative propagation. Or what we say is asexual reproduction in the higher plants. So this is vegetative propagation, and this is asexual reproduction in a form of asexual reproduction in higher plants. So higher plants also show asexual reproduction, not only unicellular organisms, but the higher plants also do show this type of reproduction, that is nothing called as, it is called as vegetative propagation. So let us see some of these structures which are so it is for sure vegetative propagation is a type of asexual reproduction without any exception. So this is basically what we have. Some of the examples, we'll write it down. The particular structures which are showing vegetative propagation are runners, rhizome, sucker, tuber, offset, bulb. So these particular structures are the kind of things that is taking place in the plant to make them reproduce asexually. And these structures are called as vegetative propagule. So these structures are called as vegetative propagule, and yes, they are very, very important for a plant to undergo asexual reproduction. Okay, next we'll talk about a plant called as water hyacinth. What was its other name? What was the nickname given to this plant? Water hyacinth. Yes, you have done this thing in ecology in 12th class only. What is the typical name we assign to water hyacinth? Ichanagar, Senapati, Shillong. Tell me quickly. Yes. Have you heard about this thing? See. Have you heard about the term terror of Bengal? So water hyacinth is given this nickname. Water hyacinth is called as terror of Bengal. Why? Because they reproduce asexually. By formation of runners. See, here we have done runners as one of the form of vegetative propagation. So they reproduce asexually by runner formation. So runners they form and spread very fast. On the surface of water bodies, but yes, only standing water bodies, not the rivers, streams or anything which is in motion. The standing water bodies, and what they do is that they drain off the oxygen of water. What does it leads to? Leading to death of the animals and other plants. So gradually the particular water body would be dead. So it's very, very maniac plant. It is a menace, and this was introduced for. So it is an exotic plant. So this was introduced for its beautiful flowers. Mauve color flowers. So it was introduced for, yes, Tamil Nadu, good morning. This was introduced for their Beautiful mauve colored flowers. So invasive, very, very dangerous. The water body, yes, the water body drains off its oxygen. Now, since it is not of any use, we call it to be a weed. So this is an invasive weed. So it was very, very difficult at one point of time to get rid of this plant. So it was actually initially the beautiful flowers, they lured people and they introduced it in these standing water bodies, and gradually they started to cover the whole water surface, and therefore there was no oxygen in the water body. The fishes, they started to die, and this was declared as a invasive weed, which is very, very difficult to get rid of. So this was exotic earlier. Example you will be doing in ecology as well. Okay, fine. Done? Okay, some must have told you. Yes, he has told you. Okay. Nice. This is first chapter of your reproduction, that is reproduction in organisms. I started with class 12 syllabus. Since I have done with my 11th section completely, I have started with my 12th syllabus now. So this is reproduction in organisms. Yes, can we proceed? Have you copied up to this, everybody? Yes, children, have you copied? All of you? Can I move ahead? Okay, no issues, Tamil-Long, no problem. Just refer to the video later and you can just ask me the questions if you have. No issues. Okay. So I'm proceeding ahead. You continue with the sexual reproduction section, Tamil-Long. No problem, child. We'll continue with the new topic, that is, now we'll start up with. We just moved ahead with sexual and asexual reproduction, okay. So first I have discussed all the asexual reproduction and the basic examples. Very, very easy, not much difficulties. Now we'll start up with the next topic, that is sexual reproduction. So we're done with asexual, we'll start up with sexual reproduction now. So obviously there are two parents needed, gonad formation, gamete formation. The gametes will fuse, fertilization event, develop into zygote. Zygote develops into an offspring, which is not at all similar to the parents. In fact, they might be identical, but not exactly copies. So sexual reproduction, we all know that it is a very elaborate process, isn't it? Comparatively, we know it is complex, elaborate, and slow process if you compare it to asexual reproduction, isn't it? If you compare to asexual reproduction, we find this to be a complex process. Elaborate takes much time, and since it takes time, it is a slow process. So what we have over here is that there are gonads present, isn't it? Gonads are present. And what are gonads? We all know what are gonads. They are these six organs. So what does gonad do? The gonads, they produce gametes. So we have gamete formation, and once the gamete formation is done, what we have is, just now we have done phase in the sexually reproductive organisms. They are divided. We have done this thing. they have certain phases. The first is juvenile. The second it's also called as vegetative in case of plants. So the plant is young. Then we have is reproductive. And after reproductive we have is obviously post-reproductive. We run this thing, isn't it? So we have is what? We have juvenile, vegetative, reproductive and post-reproductive phases. Juvenile and vegetative are the same things, but obviously vegetative is used in plants. The young stage of plant is called as vegetative stage when it grows in its height, and juvenile is for animals. So, if we talk about reproductive phase in a plant, it is represented by flowers. So, until and unless a flower appears on the plant, we cannot consider the plant to be reproductive or to be mature. Isn't it? We all know this thing. So, when a plant is juvenile, okay, when a plant is juvenile, what they do show? They are young, isn't it? And when they start to flower, they are now reproductive. So this flowering can be of different types. Let's see the particular flowerings. What can be? The flower can occur more than once in a year. Okay, it might occur once a year, twice a year, or once in a lifetime. So in the whole lifetime they can show only one flowering season. Some can show once a year, while some others can show twice a year. Okay, so for it's more than once in a year, this is called as perennial. If it's taking place once a year, this is more than once in a year. This is annual. This is biennial. And once in a lifetime, I will give you directly examples. We have bamboo. We all have seen bamboo plants. They flower only once in their lifetime of 50 to 100 years. This is a tree or a grass. Bamboo is a tree or grass. Another example we have is of Strobilanthes. Kunthiana. It's called as Neelakuranji. This is a particular flower or particular species found in the south parts, okay, South India, especially in the belt of Kerala, Karnataka. And the specialty what they do have is they flower only in 12 years. Exclusive case, not in one's lifetime, but they flower once in 12 years of lifetime. So they give beautiful, Neel in Hindi is blue. So they give beautiful blue color flowers, turning the whole, this is in Tamil Nadu as well, sorry. So this gives a whole blue, beautiful blue color appearance to the whole of the area. So people from far and off, far and away, they go to visit this plant. The last flowering as per your NCERT was in 2006. So 6/12, that is, it must have flowered in 18, I guess. Yes, 18. 2018 was the last flowering season. Last flowering was, NCERT gives you 2006. So last flowering after 6 would be obviously in 2018. So 18 was the last flowering season. You can wait for 12 years from 18 to see its next blue stretch. So very, very beautiful. If you get an opportunity, you must go and see these particular things. So Strobilanthes kunthiana, that is Neelakuranji, is found in South India. This flowers once in 12 years. So obviously the reproductive age is, reproductive group, particular time period is very, very high. So every time a tree flowers, then only we can declare that yes, the gametes are formed and the gametes, they are ready to form a new offspring. So it takes place after 12 years. So very, very long time. Yes, are we done? Are we done up to this? Everybody, Tamilnong, Senapati, Itanagar, Shillong. Are we done up to this? Everybody? Yes. Do we have any doubts, children? Do we have any doubts? Tamilnong, is it clear now? Since you joined late. Shillong. Copied, children? Clear? No answers. Yes, Shillong, Senapati. Everybody copied? Okay, very good. So we will have a small 5 minutes break. Okay? And after 5 minutes, we'll continue with this chapter. Mind it, we are going to finish this off with some questions. Okay, very good. Yeah, juvenile for animals and vegetative for the plants. Exactly, that is what is, I have told you, see. Vegetative for plants. See on this slide, Tamilnong. This is vegetative for the plants and juvenile obviously is for animals. Okay? Okay, let's have a break. We'll meet and we'll discuss some more doubts if you have after break. 5 minutes. can we resume? Is everybody back from the break? Okay. Yes, so what we were talking about? We're talking about the phases, isn't it? So what is the particular factor that is responsible for this transition of phase? Anybody? Yes? Tamenlong, Shillong, Senapati, Itanagar. What is the particular factor that brings about this transition of this stage? Yes. Oh my God. So sleepy. Shillong. Okay, yes, you're stretching in the class. Feeling so sleepy. Okay, must be hectic day yesterday, isn't it? Pujo Pandal. Pandal hopping and all those things. Okay, fine. So what's the particular factor? Obviously the factor is called as hormones. We all know that if you take example in animals only, humans only, what's the particular factor that brings about this transition? Yes, hormones. So hormones, they start to produce at particular stage of lifetime when this particular reproductive phase has to be started. And similarly, when it stops, obviously that stage is called as post-reproductive. So the particular factor, similarly we have plant hormones also, like we have animal hormones, we have plant hormones also. So hormones are the factors responsible for transition of stages. So if we need to transition of these stages, we need to have a particular stage, end, started, all of those things would be done by hormones. Okay. So hormones are the particular factors responsible for this transition of stages. So again, the events of sexual reproduction, let's go back to it. We have done this section, we have to start with this section, reproductive phase. Okay, so reproductive phase is basically again divided into different stages. What are the particular stages? Reproduction or the reproduction phenomenon as a whole, if we talk about, so the events in reproduction are divided into particular phases. Reproduction. What are the phases? Yes, we do have different phases in reproduction, particular phases. There is a pre-fertilization event. There's an event called as fertilization. Easy enough. And then we have is post-fertilization event. This pre-fertilization event is again divided into two parts. At first, we need to form the gametes. It's called as gametogenesis. And when these gametes are formed, what we need to do is that we need to transfer them. So the pre-fertilization event is divided into two sections. That is the gametogenesis part and the gamete transfer part. Clear? Are we clear up to this? Okay, fine. So I'm continuing with gametogenesis. So we have two particular parts. Gametogenesis, we all know. There are two different types of cell divisions, isn't it? Mitosis and meiosis. So what is going to take place in gamete formation? There is obviously going to take place meiosis. Why? Because meiosis forms haploid cells. And these haploid cells are important for maintaining the chromosome number. In a species. So if mitosis would have been taking place, the chromosome number will not be set stable. So to maintain stability or to maintain consistency, what we need is, we need meiosis event. And what is meiosis? Basically, meiosis is taking place only and only sex cells, that is in the gametes. So meiosis, via meiosis what we have is, we have haploid gametes. Cells, gametes, sex cells, whatever term you can give them. So they have haploid gametes, that is gametogenesis. So sir will be telling you the process of gametogenesis in plants, and I will be telling you in the next class, obviously, in the next week, the gametogenesis section in the humans. So this gametogenesis, what does it do? They produce haploid gametes. And these haploid gametes are very much different from one particular species to another species. So if we talk about algae, let's start up with algae. Just copy this. We'll start up with algae. What is happening in algae? What we have is, the gametes are similar. Are similar in appearance. Which gametes? Obviously, male and female gametes. So if the male and female gametes are similar, exactly replica or exactly copies of each other, we call these gametes to be what? We call these gametes to be homogametes or isogametes. So they are said to be homogametes or isogametes if they are identically similar to each other. We cannot differentiate, oh, this is a male gamete, this is a female gamete. So this is basically called as what? This is basically called as homogametes. But in majority of these sexually reproducing organisms, what they do is that the gametes are different in their appearances, isn't it? And if they are different in their appearances, what are they called? They are called as heterogametes or anisogametes. We have done this particular kind of terms earlier also. Iso and aniso. That was in A band and I band. The I band was called as isometric, isn't it? Remember? So is it like sexually reproducing organisms, they have gametes from two different organisms always? Is this particular thing correct? Yes, Shillong. First bench, left side girl. You will tell me. First bench. See, this is third bench on which first girl is sitting. Shillong, you tell me. Yes, somebody just knock her. I'm talking to her. The first girl on the left side. First bench. Yes, you tell me. Is it always this possible that if you talk about a sexually reproducing organisms, the gametes have to be from different organisms or different parents? Or do you have some exceptions for the same? Got my question? Other centers you also can try. Tamilong, Senapati, Itanagar, you have to answer this question as well. Yes, child. First bench, left girl. Tell me this. Please get up and type your answer. That is the gamete formed in the out? Are the gametes formed in the? My question. Are the gametes formed in sexually reproducing organisms Always from different parents, yes. Is this correct or do you have some exceptions? Quickly, please get up an answer. Okay, so do you have any exceptions? Very good, child. Do you have any exceptions? Very good. Do you have any exceptions for the same? Yes. Any more apart from this, earthworm? Yes. Tamilong, can you give me an example? Senapati, Itanagar, you people also. Can you give me an instance, an example where the same gametes, or I'm sorry, the male and female gametes are produced from the same organism? Yes. You're done with animal kingdom, you cannot react like this now. You completed your whole animal kingdom chapter and we have seen a series of organisms coming before phylum. Which phylum? Aschelminthus. Remember? There were a number of organisms before Aschelminthus. They were showing, yes, okay, fine. Good, nice try, Tamilong, very good. So in fungi also this kind of things are seen. Okay, very good. But fungi, it is not, we call this term, sir must have told you, a term called as, what is it? Spores. Sir must have taught you that in fungi, when he must be teaching you fungi, the reproduction is via spores, isn't it? So I'm talking about proper gametes, not spores. Although fungi is a good example of the same. Yes, Senapati, can you try? Senapati is not answering since long. Itanagar child? Child at Itanagar, can you answer please? Senapati, you do also try. I'm talking about organisms which are called as what? Hermaphrodites. That is, both the gametes are formed in the same organism. Exactly. So, are the gametes formed in sexually always from the same different parents? The answer would be no. Obviously, why? Because we have some examples where we have parents called as hermaphrodites. Who actually produce male and female gamete by same individual. Isn't it? So it's not always true. We'll talk about certain things called as plants. We have homothallic. So what is homothallic? Or we can say homothallic is for fungi. For plants we have is monoecious. So what is a homothallic or what is a monoecious? Yes. What is happening? What is there? This is a bisexual condition where both gametes are formed by same parent. And what about the other thing? Obviously, it is heterothallic. Thallic you must have studied, or it is dioecious. It represents a unisexual condition. Okay, and what happens in this unisexual condition? Obviously, gametes are formed by different parents. So there would be a male parent and a female parent forming female and male gametes. Okay? Now if it is unisexual, it can be like in case of plants I'm talking about. If it's unisexual, obviously the plant or the flower can be either male or female. So we all know what is the male reproductive part of the plant. Yes, anybody? It's called as stamen, which bears what? Which bears anthers. In the anthers we have many pollen grains. So stamen is the male reproductive part. And for female it is pistil, which has stigma, style and ovary. And stamen has what? Stamen has anther and filament. We have done all these things. So if the male has stamen only and the female has only pistil, we'll call this flower bearing only stamens as staminate. Okay? And we will call this flower only bearing pistil to be pistillate. Pistillate and staminate are the two conditions in which we have flowers. Yes, we do have flowers, but yes, the flower can be only a male flower or a female flower. Okay, just copy please. What else is to be copied? This thing? Have you messed up something? Okay. This thing. Itanagar? Okay. The slide, child? Okay, please copy. Just let me know if you are done with copying. Done? Very good. This thing you have copied, everybody. This part has been copied by everybody, all of you. Copied, I'm proceeding. Now, what we can have is, we can have two categories of plants. Monoecious and dioecious. So what is monoecious? If what we have the condition for monoecious, that both male and female, isn't it? Both male and female flowers present on the same plant. Okay, so if we have male and female flowers present in the same plant, we call them to be monoecious. So the other condition, both male and female flowers on different plants. So in case of dioecious, we will be having a male plant and a female plant. So totally different plants are as a whole. So there will be male plant for having only male gametes, and there will be a female plant for having only female gametes. So the examples of many times examples are important and they are asked in the exams. So please be sure about the examples. We have examples like cucurbits and coconut. And for them we have examples of papaya and date palm. So we have these examples for the plants and they are important. Do learn them. Don't be confused when they do come exams. So papaya, there is a male papaya plant and a female papaya plant. Date palm, similarly, there is a female date palm and a male date plant, palm plant. So this is what is basically a diploid plant body, diploid body. Diploid body always forms gametes by meiosis, isn't it? We talk about diploid organisms. They form gamete by what process? They form gamete by a process called as meiosis. The majority of them are like this, that is diploid body. But what if the body of the organism is haploid? Obviously, the gamete formation will always take place by mitosis. Okay, so a haploid parent is going to produce the gamete by what process? Haploid parent is going to produce a particular gamete by the process of mitosis, whereas the diploid parent is going to form the gamete by the process of meiosis. So can we have some examples of haploid? Yes, we can have. We can have bacteria, that is Monera. We can have fungi, algae and bryophytes. So these organisms, they have haploid plant body. So haploid plant body forms gamete by what process? They form gamete by the process of mitosis. So you have to remember this checkpoint. This is again important. So if it is haploid like bacteria, fungi, they will undergo algae and biophytes, they will undergo mitosis to form their gametes. And if it is diploid, like maximum of us, humans also, they are diploid plant, they have diploid body, they have formation by meiosis. So you have a diagram in your book also where you have been shown with Cara and Markensia. So we'll write out Cara to be a monoecious plant. I'm going to mention over here only. Cara is a monoecious plant and Markensia, just mention it over here, and Markensia happens to be a dioecious plant. Again is important. So these kind of questions, these types of questions are asked in NEET on a repeated basis. So prepare these things before you are attempting for your exams. So examples are one of the most important things that are asked in NEET exam. Okay. Are we clear up to this? Everybody, Shillong, Itanagar, Senapati, Tamenlong. Are we clear, children? Can I move ahead with the process of gamete transfer? Yes. Can we move ahead? Everybody is clear? Okay, so I guess we are done with gametogenesis. I will quickly rush to the next section, that is gamete transfer. Obviously, again in plants, there will be a phenomenon called as pollination. Okay, so what happens is, basically the gamete transfer process, before we move to pollination section, we need to understand that there are gametes which can be motile and sometimes they can be non-motile as well. So they can move from one place to another, that is motility, and they can not have that phenomenon, that is non-motile, or they are stationary. Okay, so if we talk about have examples directly, red algae, and we will have angiosperms. So they are not motile, yes, but they have certain agents which do carry them from one place to another place. Whereas motility is a phenomenon found in algae, in case of bryophytes, and in case of pteridophytes. So pteridophytes is in this section, we won't get confused. So we have algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes as what? As the agents which are having, as the particular plant species which are having what? Which are having motile gametes. Remember, these kind of questions, they are easy favorites and they are too easy to handle also. So don't get confused in exam, don't go for negative marking. So these are the particular plants which are showing what? The motility factor, that is, the gametes are motile, obviously they need a medium. We have done this thing. They need a medium. Sir must have taught you plant kingdom. So need a medium for transfer, and maximum of the medium times, this medium happens to be what? This happens to be water. Okay. So we know this factor as well, that they need a medium to transfer, and the male gamete travels. And thus is produced in large numbers, we know, because the wastage is very high. They search for the female gametes, so they are produced in large numbers. Many times these kind of questions they are asked in boards, that why they are produced in large numbers. But yes, why? Since they are required to have a process which is not giving surety. They just move through, but the surety is not there. So what happens is that the plant assures its possibility of fertilization by increasing the number of male gametes, obviously, because the wastage is very high. But if we took example of the bisexual plants, yes, we have certain examples like the peas. What happens is, in peas, they are located very close to each other, isn't it? Since we know what is a bisexual plant now, we know that located close to each other is obviously the surety for them to get fertilized. Okay? Clear? In bisexual. But this is what is called as self-fertilization, isn't it? In the same bisexual, if we talk about cross-fertilization or cross-pollination, what happens in cross-fertilization? There is pollination. So gametes from one particular plant travels to another plant by means of a medium. The medium can be anything. Sir will be teaching you that in detail. Yes. So pollen grains are transferred on the stigma by different pollinating agents. Pollen grains are transferred on stigma. Are we clear up to this, children? So bisexual itself has two kinds of variations, that is self-fertilization and cross-fertilization. So if it is self, obviously what is happening in bisexual, let's see first what is a bisexual thing. Okay. So if this is the particular case where bisexual, this was bisexual talked about, homothallic or monoecious or bisexual, both the gametes are formed by same plant. So same plant is forming both the gametes, that is male gamete also and female gamete also. So what the chances can be? The chances can be either the same flower is present on the same plant, both the flowers are present on the same plant, or we have a different plant and there are male and female flowers on both of them, but yes, there are certain pollinating agents which are pollinating the flowers of this plant with the pollen of this plant. This is what is called as cross-fertilization. Obviously, this brings about more of variation compared to self-fertilization. Now, let's talk about fertilization event. I guess we are clear up to this, everybody. Let's talk about fertilization event. So, what is fertilization event about? Obviously, this is what is called as syngamy or the fusion of the gametes. Now, once the transfer of the gamete is done, if the compatibility factor is matched, obviously it needs to be of same species. If the compatibility factor is matched, what would happen? There would be fusion of the gametes, and this results in what? This results in formation of a structure called as zygote. So what is a zygote? Zygote is a particular diploid structure. This has two end form. Generally, in maximum of the cases, they are having two end form, and this results in formation of what? Later onwards, it will result in formation of an embryo. Okay. So, there can be two kinds of fertilization. If we talk about animals, now we'll talk about animals. It can be external fertilization or it can be internal fertilization. External obviously takes place outside the female body, or just let's write down takes place outside the body. Okay. Obviously this needs a medium. Generally the medium water is the most preferred of all, and the internal fertilization, as the name suggests, this takes place inside the generally female body. Okay. Clear? Everybody? Sorted? So in case of animals, this thing is very much clear, isn't it? External and internal fertilization. But if we talk about plants, the plants also show internal and external fertilization. But for example, if we talk about the plants belonging to the group of bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, you know these things, isn't it? We're done with plant kingdom. And angiosperms, in all of them what happens is the syngamy process in these organisms, the syngamy takes place inside the body of the organism, like female, but yes, inside the body of the organism. Okay. And in case of animals, we know this thing exactly. If it is internal, what would happen? Either the egg or the whole of the embryo in animals I'm talking about develops in the inside the body. Okay, this is what is basically the fertilization process. So what is parthenogenesis? What do you know about parthenogenesis? What is parthenogenesis and what is parthenocarpy? Two terms often confused between. What is parthenogenesis and what is parthenocarpy? Parthenogenesis is what? This is the formation of an individual. This happens in animals. Okay, this is a particular phenomenon happening in animals. What happens is there is formation of an individual or organism without fertilization. And this is what is fruit formation. Without fertilization. So if a fruit is formed without fertilization, obviously the fruit will be what? It would be seedless. So seedless fruit formation is often by a means of parthenocarpy, whereas this can be seen in where? Parthenogenesis. In case of honeybee, the most important example of all. And this can be seen in grapes, banana, all these kinds of plants where the seed formation is not taking place, but yes, the fruit formation do takes place. So these are the particular events which are describing the fertilization section. So once the particular gametes are fertilized, they undergo syngamy or the formation of the zygote. Once the zygote forms, what starts is this starting of formation of a what? So if you talk about a zygote, they all are having variations. So for example, if you talk about a fungi or an algae, the zygote has thick wall over it, just to prevent itself from desiccation. Okay, desiccation means drying up. Prevents from damage plus desiccation. Okay, one moment. Yes, Itanagar, please copy. Sorry. Please copy this. So we will have a zygote formation, and zygote is what? Zygote is having a kind of covering over it. Just let me know when you finish, Itanagar, this thing. So they will rest before germinating. That is, the particular stage is a bit of a longer time duration. So just to prevent it from any kind of damage, prevent it from any kind of drying up conditions, what they do is that they make a thick wall over them. And that wall, inside the wall, the zygote is undergoing its developmental process in a comparatively longer period of time. Okay? Copy, Itanagar? Okay, very nice. So we have zygote that is formed in which organisms? Obviously lower organisms like fungi and algae. So zygote is basically a kind of interjunction or a kind of particular phase which is existing between the parent and the offspring. So we always have this kind of thing, that is, it is what is basically, it is connection between the parents and offspring. This is a cell we actually get from our parents. So connection kind of thing. So after this, what happens is the embryo formation. Yes, zygote develops into what? Zygote develops into embryo. And this embryo undergoes what? This embryo undergoes embryogenesis. That is development of the embryo. So how does an embryo develops? An embryo develops by two means. What are they? Number one, the cell number increases by the process of cell division, and the cells which divide, they start to gain a function which is called as cell differentiation. So cell division is what? Cell division is increase in number, simply. And differentiation is what? Differentiation is gaining a function. So the cell is gaining a function, we call the cell, yes, the cell is getting differentiated. And if its number is increasing, it is said to be cell division. So it's very like I will be teaching you the human reproduction section from the next class. So we will talk about embryogenesis more in detail in that part, and sir will be teaching you embryogenesis in the flowering, the reproduction in flowering plant section. So that will be dealt by both of us in very detail in our respective chapters. So this chapter was actually a kind of trailer, actually a kind of preview into reproduction section. So we all know that if we talk about the fruit develops from ovary. Or the other way around, I should write that ovary develops into fruit. Okay, so this is what is the particular part we are supposedly going to deal with in this section, and the rest of the things will be done by individually your botany and zoology teachers, that is me and Vineet sir, in their respective chapters. Isn't it? So if an animal is egg-laying, what is it called? Quickly. If an animal is egg-laying, what is it called? If an animal is egg-laying, what is it called, children? What is taking so long? Shillong, Tamilong, Itanagar, Senapati. If an animal is egg-laying, what is it called? We did over here. External and internal fertilization. Okay. So after internal fertilization, what can happen? Development of the female in the zygote of the female body, what could happen? Yes, what could happen over here? The animal can be either egg-laying, that is oviparous, or it can give birth to young one, that is oviparous. So if it is oviparous, obviously the egg has a hard shell of calcium carbonate to prevent it from drying, isn't it? So that it can conserve its metabolism, it can conserve the water present inside its whole structure. What they do is that they have a calcareous shell. And in case of oviparous animals, obviously the organism is so developed when it is born that they don't need such kind of structures. Okay, so we have two kinds of animals, that is oviparous and viviparous. If the fertilization in animals takes place inside the body, so it can be ovi and vivi. Okay, so this chapter has this many of content, and exactly as I told you that the detailed sections of both the things will be dealt by individually me and Vineet sir in our respective chapters. So next class I would be starting with human reproduction. Okay, we'll start up with human reproduction section, the whole chapter. Please go back home and read this whole from your textbook. That is more beneficial for us now. You have to read this whole chapter from our textbooks and then refer to the notes and start doing the MCQs. Repeatedly I am telling you, I am giving you, okay fine, lunchtime. So repeatedly I am telling you, I am giving you small notifications that yes, the time is short. We have to complete all these things in that particular time, given time only. So make sure we are all working hard. You, me, obviously, all of us. So do we have any doubts from this section? Shall I wrap up this class? Yes, Tamilong, Shillong, Itanagar, Senapati, short and sweet chapter. Do we have any doubts? Can we wrap up? Okay, fine, very good. Nice. We do have certain things left from this chapter. I will be combining the questions with human reproduction and asking you the same in the next class. I will be asking you questions. Yes. Okay, fine. I will be asking you questions from the next class, obviously in coordination with human reproduction part. Okay, fine. So, it's fine. Go for a lunch break. Video, okay. What I will be doing is that I will be just giving you these notes since you missed this class. I will be just sending you these notes via WhatsApp. But I will need some time for that. By evening, I will try to do the same. And recorded video, you must be having an access to recorded video. Aren't you, Tamilong? If you are not, let me ask. Notes I will be giving you today itself. By evening, because I have a class till evening. After that, I will go home and send you these notes. Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Please study. Yes, work hard. Harder, in fact. Time is short. You have to give results. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye, Tata.